What's going on, NIO fam? It is Laser here with another weekend video analysis. It is 10:30 at night on a Friday. Normally I drop these videos on a Saturday morning. This one's coming out a little bit earlier. I'm going to be very busy tomorrow all day, and I didn't want to feel like I was rushing my video tomorrow. So I figured let's make the video tonight where I can take the time and share my thoughts as to where I see NIO going into next week. If you're new here, we drop one of these videos once per week. We share our analysis on NIO every Saturday morning, sometimes Friday night, like today. And we try and actually share from a technical perspective where I think it's going. And again, if you're new here and if you're making a big financial decision, and please do your own due diligence, do your own research. I'm just a guy who likes the stock. I'm just sharing where I see the stock going. And I'm just going to say I truly don't know exactly where it's going to go. And I'm not going to say I think it's one of the hardest things to do, to try and pinpoint exactly where it's going to go, but I will do my best and call it out as to where I see things going for next week. So having said that, again, if you're new here, we don't just look at NIO. We'll look at Baidu. We'll look at Baba. We're going to go look at Hang Seng Index. We're going to look at the Dixie, and it'll help us put together like the different puzzle pieces as to where we see everything kind of going. Just a second. Let me see if I did that right. So we're going to start off by drawing off some Fibonacci trend lines. And I'm going to zoom in here. Let's see so you guys can see it nice and clear. So the reason I drew these Fibonacci trend lines, these are, again, did I get that right? Oh, I don't know if I got that right. Pretty sure I got that right. Yep. The reason we're drawing these Fibonacci trend lines is to really show you guys the 0.786, the historical 0.786 is $8.40. And that golden pocket is between 550 and 596. And you can see that's kind of where we rejected that. Or sorry, not rejected, we bounced off that. And as you can see, it looks like it's driving towards 840. So that's where I got that 840 target. Now, if I were to kind of just let you know, kind of like where I mentioned, like I don't know where things are going. I'm gonna change the time frame to the 4-hour. Let me tell you, there's two ways this is gonna play out, and I'm just torn, completely and utterly torn. So what we have here is a rising wedge. Now, normally rising wedges, normally they're bearish, but not always. Now, where rising wedges are not bullish, sorry, not bear. Normally rising wedges are bearish, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're bullish, and when they're bullish is when you get a break. It'll sometimes break out above, like it's a fake, and you finally get that explosive move. And if it does that, and it does so right at 840, you know, maybe we get to the top of that wedge, and we get to 840, and it finally breaks out. The next big Fibonacci move or target is $14.39. Like another 69-70% to the upside. And so I just want to let y'all know that's actually a possibility. It's actually. Now, I'm not leaning towards that. If you watch my last week's video, I said 840 and then a dip towards the high fives, which is, as you can see here on the golden pocket, 596. You know, I think you can get like that slow push into 840. You know, I'll draw out the arrows so you can see the path. Slow dip into the 840s. I mean, maybe it breaks under First, something like that. And not in one move, more like in two moves, kind of like this. That is kind of what I was calling out last week, and I still see it as being a possibility. So I'm gonna go back to the 24-hour time frame. I'm gonna erase all the drawings, or at least just the arrows. And let me be very, very, very clear. Just because I think that doesn't mean it's gonna happen. You know, if I had money sitting on the side and I'm looking at NIO, and I see like, oh my god, it's 2% down. Do I want to buy NIO? It's down 2%. Don't want to buy that dip. Truthfully, I think if you're gonna buy it and you're like, oh my god, I don't want to miss this 1439. I actually think it's gonna break out. I don't think it's gonna break down. I believe the fundamentals are there, and you know, I'm super bullish. Wait to see what happens on 840. That's probably the most wisest thing. And play a pullback. Play whatever pullback you get and ride it. Just ride it. If it breaks 840, the game changes, I think, for the bulls completely. But it's gonna pay to be patient, because if it doesn't break, but if it actually like breaks down, and there's some signs saying that, you know, we might get that breakdown. Like if it does this, let me get that breakdown, you'll be happy you waited. And if you need to do this, draw this out on your chart, type, look for longs, especially if you got cash. Most people, I think, are like all in on NIO. Okay, so not many people have cash. Not many people can dollar cost average. Especially the hardcore investors in here. You guys are already deep and all in. But if you've got cash, or maybe you're working and you got some more money to kind of throw into the play, since we're so close to 840, I think it would be wise to just wait for an answer. Okay, it's usually always best to just see what it does, and you know, if you're eager, wait for that to break and ride it if it's going to do that. And if you're waiting for cash and if it breaks below, well, you'll be thankful that you've held on and you've waited for kind of like a better buy, a better opportunity. You'll get more shares and, you know, drop your average or whatever. You'll just capitalize on a lot more. And I don't actually know which way it's going to go, but what I can see here is that the velocity is telling me on the 24-hour time frame. Let's just erase everything. Lower high tells me buyers are slowing down. And it made another higher high and barely another lower high. It's still making higher lows. So it's interesting. It's like compressing. Now, if I were to change the clock to 12 hours, something bullish I noticed on the 12 hours. When I was doing my analysis. Price made a higher high at $8.02. It beat out the previous high. So this was a higher high on that velocity, which is awesome. Buyers did put stuff up to kind of push through there. And of course, if it makes a higher low, you could get like a big move. And then of course, I look at our blue line, which is like our midline here. We are trending up. Another thing too that kind of makes me think that $14 might potentially be at play. Take a look at something. Okay. Notice how only 2 points after these 2 points. Hang on. After these 2 points, it never came down and retested this point. Even on regular, it didn't come down and test it. Okay. We haven't come down and retested it. Now watch this. These 2 points. It hasn't even come down and tested it. Notice it's accelerating. It's going parabolic by the looks of it. And now check this out. 2 points. It hasn't even tested that either. This original rent, because it's rising. It's curling up. You can see it slowly curling up. Now, if I were to take these two, it still hasn't even touched it. Hasn't come down and touched it. And to me, that you can almost see it kind of parabolic. It's like that parabolic rally that's actually starting. And then when we look into the Hang Seng index, which we will earlier, it will support like that move to $14. However, let me point out to you guys, this week, this is a massive win for the bulls. It cleared this high. You can see I'm drawing a straight line here at 778, or I tried to draw it at 778. It's not even a straight line. And you can see it just took out the previous high. And I've been calling for that, like 780 clearing that. That's one of my major, and $8 too. That's a big psychological level. Like it hit all those major psychological levels that I talked about. And to me, if you wanna call this your cup, right? And where was that next golden pocket? It was 596. To me, this makes sense. Now, let me tell you something. And there's your handle, okay? And after a cup and handle, like, if you guys don't know what happens after a cup and handle, it gets crazy. Price goes nuts. So in my last week's video, I just wanted to make a quick comment. I called for 840, which we still haven't gotten yet. I called for 840. And then I said after 840, I could see a big steep pullback into like the fives. That'd be like a 20-30% pullback, which is still healthy. 25, if it hit 840, almost like a 30% pullback. Okay. I had some people kind of come at me, say like, man, why are you all of a sudden flip-flop and being bearish? Didn't you just say that you were the most bullish of all time? Well, I don't think me calling for a corrective move is me being bearish. That's just me being neutral. And that's what you get when you watch my analysis. I try and give you as a neutral take as I possibly can. This is what I'm used to seeing. If we look at kind of use case examples here of stocks that did go parabolic, I'm going to use Hood. Hood's an example that's just seen awesome, amazing, tremendous success. We're going to switch to the weekly time frame. We talked about this, by the way. Take a peek at Hood. All right. Hood in July of 2023 hit a high of 1323, and it just beat that at 1353. You notice that it cleared it. And notice the weekly velocity broke above it. And how much did it pull back? It pulled back to the 50%. It fell back to the 50%, which if I were to go back to NIO real quick, erase everything, and we were to say, okay, there's your bottom, and it goes to 840. I can't even get it up there. Come on. I got to zoom in. 840. Your 50% is 587. I mean, like, and that's like right around that golden pocket, 587, 596. Okay. And then you kind of look like, okay, you do have a rising wedge that's forming here. There are some signs of bearish divergences. But here's what really throws me off. And I'm going to actually show you in just a moment what throws me off. I do think that this thing is going to stay within this wedge for the next couple of weeks. I don't think we'll get an answer. I think you're going to get like this. It's going to get real tight, and it'll either break and go explosive, or it'll break down to that. I'm leaning towards that, but part of me kind of wants to say like, hey, maybe this thing is going to go parabolic, and we get a Let's do this. It was 1439, 116. It was yeah, you might get that 1439, which actually is the IPO price, by the way. 1439. You can't see it on the weekly chart, but if you go to the 24-hour chart, that's your weekly IPO original high, 1439. And that might happen. Now, let's just jump into the Hang Seng Index, and I'll explain why. Here's our Hang Seng. Oh my God, it looks weird because it's on log. I just want to point out to you guys that Hang Seng Index it's trying for a breakout. It's trying to break out of this parallel channel here, which is awesome. You can see last 3 times rejected, broke above it, but couldn't hold, tried, rejected. It's trying again here, but you'll notice there's something really, really, really different here. I don't know why I have this line here, and I delete that. How do I delete this line? Why won't it work? There we go. Pay attention to my indicator down here on the velocity. We have a top here. Overshoot, but of course, there's your top. We have a top here. Now, notice we're in this range for the past 5 months, and we haven't gone in that range where it's like, okay, we're at a top yet, which makes me think there's room for this thing to just pop up into 30,000. Like, is that what's forming here? Like, are we going to get that big move on the Hang Seng Index where it finally tops? I think so. Honestly, like I've not seen the velocity kind of, consolidate for 5 months without making that big blow off the top. And I think that's what's happening and forming here. And if it does that, if the Hang Seng Index moves up another 12%, well, then for NIO, $14 is in the cards. And then you look at its peers. Baidu. Like, Baidu is absolutely incredible. It's got so much momentum. It's cleared this like completely and retested it, by the way. Cleared the high, retested the high, and it looks like it wants to kind of come for 160. Baba. Now, Baba's an interesting one. I look at Baba and I'm like, I don't know. Like, you can find the tops and compare it to like how fast the velocity is. And so here's a top in 2023. Here was another top in October 2024. Notice it hit that level. Here was a top in March of earlier this year. Notice it overshot it. And here we are right now in that same range, same zone. And you can see it just tapped and touched the top of this parallel channel, which I've been talking about for a while on Baba. But if it does want to give you that one explosive push higher, it certainly can. But maybe the top is there for Baba, and we're waiting for the top to come for NIO, maybe. So that's one thing of maybe something to kind of keep an eye on. So far, it still looks fantastic. I don't see anything that looks bearish. Other than that, it's sitting at resistance, and so is the Hang Seng. But who's to say it can't push higher to 220, to 250? If you're a Baba holder, man, like I think you're going to be in for an awesome ride. Like this, Baba is heading back to all-time highs. I truly, what is that, the all-time high? 304? Yeah, and way higher. Look at the weekly velocity, by the way. And Baba is a perfect example of something going crazy and then giving that. Let's erase everything. I don't want to erase my full chart, so we'll just erase what we have drawn here. Notice Baba here. Huge weekly breakout. And then it gave you that pullback. How big of a pullback? That was probably a 0.786. Yeah, it was a 0.786. Huge pullback. But it didn't stop it from pushing higher and pushing into, pushing way up. This is almost like the move that we're seeing right now on NIO is like, I mean, I would say I would compare it almost to something like that. Baba got its retest. NIO hasn't seen its retest. And again, that kind of ties me back to like, is it going to just go to 840? And it's so close. Wait, why is that looking weird? Moved it. That's the number. So 1439. Or sorry, 840. 1439 maybe. But I think it's, again, if you got money on the sidelines or you're watching this, just have these drawn out. Draw out these trend lines like that. Draw it out like that. Maybe not quite like that, but something like that. And wait for it to kind of break and give you a direction. That is what I would tell you. All right. You got that rising wedge. If you got money on the side, wait for the break above. You can go long. If it breaks under, well, wait till you see 596, in my opinion. That's what I'm calling for. And man, I'm torn. But if I'm gonna pick a side, I'm gonna pick a side towards 596. Why? It just completed that cup. It just makes too much sense. And again, I take you to Hood as well. Like where you guys are on the cycle, by the way, is like you're so early. It's like right here. You get that pullback, and then boom, this giant rally. And I think that's to come for NIO. It's the future will be very, very, very bright for NIO. Did I miss anything? I think I missed the US dollar. I think the US dollar is consolidating. It's going to be, and it's doing some extended like consolidation. I'm just going to erase all the drawings here on the Dixie. I'm just going to point out to you the velocity, the weekly velocity. Every time it's kind of reached these levels, you've kind of like, you've hit a bottom almost right here, okay? And I think the resulting move after you've kind of hit these levels, even if it's a lower high, is you're gonna get that bounce. That bounce is gonna come, and usually when the U.S. dollar rises, if you don't already know this, that's usually a they call it a flight to safety. Safety assets. U.S. dollar tends to be a safe asset, and usually when U.S. dollar is rising, risk assets tend to underperform. I don't know if there's anything else I wanted to share in this weekly videos. I think from 2 weeks ago, I talked about like the weekly velocity on a bunch of different stocks. I want to point out to you guys, I think I talked about Tilray real quick. I was like, yeah, I think Tilray, like notice like it broke out of a 3-year and it moved up like 40% after that, beyond that. Like is Tilray gonna like do something crazy? Finally? It might. Like, is Tilray going to go to 60? Is it going to be like this massive squeezer? Something tells me that when you get that weekly breakout, and this is not a Tilray video, I think it's like a super high risk stock, but when you get that weekly breakout on the velocity, that's what differentiates these pump and dumps from like actually something real that's happening here. Notice these pump and dumps that are happening and nothing happens. It just keeps going down. And now it's finally giving you that weekly breakout. Is it going to start this, I don't know, this Savannah type of rally? And look what Savannah did, by the way. Complete trash. And then it gave you this huge move, which signaled like it's not a pump and dump, something big starting. Something big started. And look at this, like Savannah. That right there is a cup. And call me crazy. You can probably come back to this probably a year from now. But Savannah, when it gives you your cup, or sorry, your handle, if you were to measure that, could easily give you 100%, like another $300 move. Like it could easily go to another 100% from here, which is just wild. But yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility. Not and that, I'm just showing you. I showed you Savannah, not to talk about Savannah. By the way, this is a NIO video, but I want to show you the significance of like those the weekly breaking out here. That is definitely something to keep your eyes peeled on NIO. Something big's coming, guys. So I'm very, 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 very bullish. Let me be very clear. I'm very bullish, and just because I'm seeing a potential pullback into like high sixes, that doesn't make me bearish, you guys. That's, please don't get that wrong. Okay. Sorry for the late night video once again. If you've watched all the way up until the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, if you're new here, to hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate that, and smash the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. If you had any questions, drop it in the comment section below. It's a Friday night, so I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I hope you guys all take care. Cheers.